All right, Friday, May 30th. This is the Lion Channel. I'm John, day 29 of my manifesting journey. Today, I wanted to talk about, first, I guess, the 5x55 exercise that I talked about a couple days ago that I was starting. This is day 4 for me. I was up probably until after 11 o'clock last night, completing the 55, writing out my desire 55 times. I actually timed it. It takes me a minute or 57 seconds to write out each one. So that's a solid hour for me right there. And then, my hand's still getting used to writing that much. So, but, in terms of a difference, I haven't really felt much. Well, you know what? I didn't think that I was feeling that much of a difference, but it is, wow. And I'm just realizing this, okay? It is changing something that I'm doing during the day in terms of, visualizing. So it's actually gotten me back to something that I kind of got away from in my visualization. And it's brought me back to, I added that back in. So and really as I'm walking around during the day in the wish fulfilled and, acting as if I am that person, I just realized what I'm writing down has brought that back, and I didn't even realize it until just now making this. I was totally prepared to say that it wasn't doing anything for me, but wow, that's wild. So there you go. So it is working, day 4, and that's something big that I don't even know why I got away from it. I guess I just woke up one day and you're just digesting so much information that sometimes, things kind of fall off or not even intentionally. You just kind of forget about it. But I'm going to have to, I don't have to write it down because I've written it down 55 times in a day for the past, this will be day 4. So tomorrow's day 5. So there's that. And one more thing I wanted to talk about, something that's starting to happen. I talk about the simulation almost every single video, just because the more you hear it and the more I say it, the more it becomes a knowing for me, and the more it can, maybe become a knowing for you if you're open to it. Because when you are open to it, it's it's pretty, it becomes pretty obvious, especially like if you do I know I kind of started talking about the ladder exercise yesterday, but Neville Goddard, David, talks about this in one of his videos where his grandfather went to see Neville Goddard in person, and it was his first time going there, and basically the whole reason he went there was to prove that what Neville Goddard was teaching didn't work. And so Neville Goddard talked about this ladder exercise, and he said fall asleep, visualizing yourself climbing a ladder. And if you do that for 3 nights in a row, no matter what you do in your waking state, you could put, I will not climb a ladder, and say it to yourself till you're blue in the face, but you will have to climb a ladder. If you visualize yourself falling asleep, like, it will come up. It doesn't matter if you haven't seen a ladder for years. In the next, week or so, you will have to climb a ladder. And it happened to, and it's happened to tons of people, but it happened to his grandpa, I think 3 or 4 days after that. He wound up climbing a ladder. He was halfway up the ladder and realized that he was climbing a ladder. It was like, oh my God. And so, just that kind of exercise, just by doing that, can, open you up to, wow, this could be a simulation. You don't have to believe it. You can believe whatever you want. But, I've seen so much, and I've talked about glitches on here over and over again that have happened, that it's basically become a knowing. It's become a knowing for me. And so since I'm so open to it, and I realize that that's basically what this is, I think what's happening is it's opening me up to like the next level of the knowing. So what's starting to happen, and I'm realizing this, is I talk about detaching from the simulation. When something negative is happening, don't react to it. Because when you react to it and you give it an emotional charge, a strong emotional response, you're recreating it. So I've done that in the past. Okay, I just started practicing this a little less than 2 months ago. I started reading, watching this material, watching videos, and so I have a ton of past before this that I recreated, and negative experience that's probably going to present itself to me, and I'm going to have to detach from it and not respond to it like I used to respond to it. This way I don't recreate it, and I spend my time recreating the things that I want in my experience. But what started to happen to me, and I noticed this last night when I was having a conversation with my wife, that I'm getting these thoughts of negative things. They're like flashes. So it's almost like the subconscious is preparing me for something that I gave strong negative emotion to, that's going to be coming up. It's almost like showing me a trailer, like real quick, like, all right, prepare for this because this is coming. And now when I see these flashes, I know exactly what they are, because they happen in like the next day or two. Like, just I don't know, I try and give you an example of something. Like, say there's somebody that's been challenging in your experience, and you, like my dad last week, there's something but this would be something out of the blue, like somebody you haven't seen in a while, and somebody you don't necessarily have to see, but the last time you saw them, you were emotionally charged in a negative way. And so you recreated that experience to happen again, unless this time you don't react to it the same way. Or when you feel that negative emotion, or you're seeing it negatively, you look at it as, what wisdom can I gain from this? Like I talked about yesterday, and I've talked about a bunch here. So now when I'm getting these flashes, I'm starting to realize, like, wow, okay, this is going to be coming in the next day or two, and without foul, it's been happening. Like, this just started over the last week, but I really noticed it yesterday when something came up that was kind of like really probably the most challenging for me, in terms of, like, now that I know this is a simulation, and I just can detach from a lot of stuff. But this has been one that has been really challenging for a long time. So even though I knew this was, even though, well, I didn't realize it until yesterday, but I had had the flash a couple days prior. And then, so when it came up, I wasn't even really ready for it. But then I thought back, I was like, oh, I got that flash. This is why I got that flash a couple days ago. And then I thought back, I was like, wow, I got the flash for that too. So now I'm starting to connect the dots, and it's kind of wild how it's happening, but it's also like really cool, because now that I know that that's the way it's happening, when I get that flash, I'll be like, okay, this is coming up. Let me think before it even gets here. How can I look at this for my benefit? How can I look at this, in a positive light? Like, what am I supposed to learn from this? So, yeah, I just like to share those kinds of things that are happening, because this is, it's all entailed in what I'm talking about. Like, again, the only thing I'm doing that anyone can do is just falling asleep. When I get into bed, like, I just start visualizing myself as the person who has all the things that I want, and how that person would feel, and how I would feel if I was that person at that moment, and imagine that I am that person while I'm in bed. That's it. And now, like, all this other stuff is just happening, like, automatically. Like, that's happening automatically, which is really cool. It's kind of like a superpower almost. So, but as I said, anyone can do it. All right. You just got to be open to it. And, that brings me to a comment, that was made. I think your name was Cynthia, but she was talking about hope. Like, hope is the catalyst. Like, you can't live a life fulfilled without hope. And I agree. Like, it all starts with hope, because that's where it started with me. I was at the lowest of the low, and then I did that exercise where I just closed my eyes and I saw how negative my inner talking was. And as soon as I saw that, and the guy who I was watching, Brendan Woods, had already said that your inner world creates your outer world. I didn't know that. I didn't know this stuff 2 months ago. But when he said your inner world creates your outer world, here, I'll show you. Just do this exercise. Close your eyes for 5 minutes and watch your thoughts. And my thoughts were so negative, as I've said over and over again. And so that exercise, right after I did that, that gave me hope. I felt, because I was hopeless at that point, which is why I didn't want to be here anymore. I just thought things were always going to be the way they were. They were never going to change. And that was it. And I was just who I was, and no matter what I was going to do, it wasn't going to change anything. And so once I did that exercise and I saw how negative everything was inside, I was like, I felt a glimmer of hope. And then the hope became a belief. Once I started falling asleep and I gave it a shot, I'm like, And then I started seeing things like changing, like, even though they didn't immediately change in my exterior world, in my external world, I could feel what was happening inside. I was noticing things within myself that I hadn't noticed before. And I started talking to my wife about things that were changing, but she, I had done that a million times before. But the hope eventually led to the belief. Probably after like the first week or two, I really started believing. I'm like, wow. And then now it's just become a knowing. Like, I know what has happened. I know how things are changing. I know how I feel. I've been able to give you like physical manifestations that have happened, and it's just getting better and better each day. And it's all because of the wish fulfilled. So If you haven't done it, I mean, I don't know what you're waiting for. So, but that's it. Happy Friday. I hope you enjoy your Friday night. I love you all, and I will see you tomorrow. See you.